Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Alex Daw. Is that how you see your name?
Yep.
How you doing? This is NRG Comics. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. It's going good. Thank you for having me so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, sure. So, So normally I go on at 7:30, but you had work, so he asked if we could reschedule. Just a half hour, so no big deal. So, people in the audience who are like, "What's going on? This isn't normal time." There you go. Uh, and then I'm sitting there waiting, and I clicked on the wrong link, and I'm sitting there going, "Where is this guy?" And it's I'm in the wrong room. So that's my day. Yeah, that's my day. Just hitting the wrong buttons. So what's going on?
Not much yourself. Not much. Just happy to be here. Happy to talk comics with another comic book creator and fan and lover. How's it going with you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I don't know if you've been following, but I'm making a comic called Heroic Tales, and you have a comic, right? You're working on a comic.
Yeah, I do. An ongoing series called Toon Man: The Animated Ace, which the first issue is currently crowdfunding on the Kickstarter. We have 2 weeks left in the Kickstarter, but we've already reached 150% of our goal.
Oh, nice. I'm going to bring that up in a second. So this is issue 1.
It is issue 1. It's fully completed, ready to print and ship out. We just need to raise money to get the printing cost and shipping costs to done.
Have you printed a comic before?
I have actually a couple in my past. This is my main series, though, the one I'm focusing on for the foreseeable future. If I could give a little sales pitch about it.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Toon Man is a story of tomfoolery, a failed 1920s character who had a pilot back in the early dawn of golden age of animation, but it never picked up. And he's been living in a cartoon world ever since. But then in modern times, he gets a chance to come to our world, hoping to reclaim his purpose as a cartoon character. Instead, what ends up happening is he becomes one of the first superheroes of our world. So I like to pitch it as Roger Rabbit meets Superman. So you got timeless, classic, and wacky antics of cartoon characters meets heroic, like great tales of Superman.
Oh, okay. Again, issue number 6 of my comic was going to have a Batman type guy fight a Joker villain named Tomfoolery and his Harley Quinn named Tragedy Ann. So, yeah. So you're not going to sue me when that comes out, are you?
No. But I mean, technically, it's a term that it's basically a public domain term. So yeah.
So good. I get that out in the open. So first off, every time I go on stream, I don't feel comfortable unless Zach Tan gives me the blessing. So how you doing, Zach Tan? And congratulations. So I don't know why I can't read today. So okay. My bad eyes. So you exceeded your goal. Good job. Then you got 12 days left to go. I was just seeing if there's a trailer here to click on.
No trailer this time. Like, we're keeping a low budget for our first Kickstarter.
Oh.
Basically, the plan with the Kickstarter is to mainly focus on like completing the comic first, which we've already done, and then like building up awareness for our audiences. So basically, we want to get this book into people's hands, and we are working to put it available in stores. The Kickstarter is a lot of ways just to raise funds to ship the comic out and also build an awareness for NRG. So hopefully build Toon Man's fandom, which will allow us to create more comics and create better prices for our followers.
Okay, I'm just like, when you said NRG, are you a one-man shop or do you got a whole team of people?
I like to use plural when it comes to NRG because I consider all the artists I use for my comics part of the team as well.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but basically, I'm mostly running it on my shelf in my apartment by myself. But I consider everyone who works on my comics part of the team.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm my comics, Long Box Comics, LBC. It's me and Renzo and Oscar. Like anybody who does anything is part of it. Because no man is an island.
Exactly. It's like that song from Sonic Avengers. No one is an island.
So is it? So it's toon based. So is it a humor comic?
It's very much humor and also action based. So a lot of my stuff is influenced by Bruce Timm's DC animated universe and how he wrote that series.
Oh,
So
that
there's
is the
some
best.
jokes in it, but there's also a lot of dark undertones to it. So
The Bruce Timm, Paul Dini Batman to me is the best Batman.
it's the best Batman, best Superman, best Wonder Woman, best anything.
I'm reading small Chuck Dixon, and these are only a hair underneath those.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love all the portrayals of all the villains. I know right now there's a couple of people like, yeah, there's a lot of dull episodes. No, there was a lot of character building episodes. Like, if that's dull, then I don't know what to tell you. I do like how this guy's in black and white in a color world. Like you said, he's I guess like an old Betty Boop.
He is like from the very beginning where like comics didn't have color to them. So
Right.
Toon Man, when I created Toon Man, I knew I wanted to be recognizable as a cartoon character without necessarily having to be like just another cartoon. And I figured, well, what if he was black and white in like a color world? That would make him easily seen as a cartoon character.
So could he like reach behind him and pull out a big hammer and smash people?
Hammer, mallet, shovel, dynamite. He can pull up a picture of someone's cat from their wallet if he wanted to, as long as it's funny.
And I guess if he didn't realize he was in the air, he wouldn't fall down.
Yes. So like he'll run across the air and he's like, wait a minute. It's like
here you go. Still, does the character still operate by Toon physics? Yeah.
Yes, he does still operate by Toon physics, but he's kind of hindered in the real world. So it's kind of like a magic system. So like he's able to do the stuff in cartoons he was in the real world, but not to the point where he would in a cartoon realm. So he's hindered. So there's a lot of weaknesses to Toon Man that I built up because otherwise he'd be overly powerful.
Right. Like could he stick his finger in a gun and then all that happens is the gun explodes and his finger has smoke on it. You know what I mean?
Yep, something like that. So like he's immune. So one big immune thing that Toon Man is immune to is explosions and gunshots, because pretty much all cartoon characters are vulnerable to that. But one thing he's not vulnerable to is knives and bladed weaponry. Because if you think about it, most cartoons will survive a gunshot or explosion because that's how they're depicted. But most cartoons won't show someone getting their head chopped off due to be censored. So that's a weakness I thought of. I thought, okay, so he's vulnerable to bladed weaponry.
Could I just put on like a lipstick and a blonde wig and distract him?
Yep, and he'll do the same thing with someone.
His eyes will get big. Oh.
Yep, he'll be like, "Hello, nurse."
I don't know if you ever play role playing games, but I'm a big into role playing games. And there was a game in the late 80s, 90s called I think it was called Toon, and I think it was diceless if I remember correctly. Dungeons and Dragons, you got to roll dice, but you were Donald Duck or let's make it Daffy Duck. I know Daffy Duck, and then I would be Elmer Fudd, and I'm hunting you. And then what you'd had to do is you just had to use your wits. So like, okay, I shoot you, and then like, okay, I shake my head, and I turn normal, and then I stick my fingers in your gun.
Yeah.
And the gun blows up. It's almost like an improv game, but if you hesitated, that's where you failed. Instead of rolling a 2 when you needed an 18. So you really had to have your cartoon physics knowledge like loaded and ready to go. Okay, I pour some ink and make a hole in the ground. You know what I mean? Okay, I stick my finger and move the hole over here. Okay. But if you had to like describe it too much or you hesitated because, it's supposed to be snappy. It's supposed to be a cartoon. A lot of gags. Yeah. Are you familiar with this game at all? Do you know what I'm talking about? Do I sound like a crazy person? Well, yes, I do sound like a crazy person.
Well, yes, you do sound like a crazy person, but I'm not familiar with this game. But at the same time, it sounds like a game I would very much enjoy.
Yeah, I mentioned it twice in 3 weeks. So I got to see if I can find a copy on eBay because it's back when Dungeons and Dragons, when the that satanic panic was going on and every third after school special was about Dungeons and Dragons. Just there was a million homebrew role playing games. So I got to look up see if that's still available. So, what cartoons would you say influenced Toon?
Well, definitely a lot of the classics like Looney Tunes would be a big one. Obviously, also Bruce Timm's Batman and Superman the animated series and Justice League.
Those are so good.
So good, so good. Another one I get compared to is Freakazoid, so that's another one too.
Okay.
But I prefer to think of it as like Freakazoid as an actual superhero, not so much just like a parody of it. Honestly, a lot of characters, one thing that influenced my character is Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like
See,
monkeys.
I'm an old guy. I don't know you youngins in your manga and stuff, but I know what the character looks like. Everybody tells me I would really like One Piece. I gotta check it out.
You would like One Piece. It's very good, especially if you like characters like Toon Man or Freakazoid or Elmer Fudd. You'll like One Piece and the story.
Yeah, it's pirates, right?
What?
It's pirates.
Yeah, pirates, and it's like kind of like a kind of an adventure pirate game where like everyone like pirates have these superpowers based on this magical fruit, and they're all like searching to find their dream.
Okay, so it's like supernatural pirates. So a little. I'm just making it up more akin to Pirates of the Caribbean, fantasy pirates rather than realistic pirates.
Yeah, it'd be like Pirates of the Caribbean, like but with like more like superhero heroic battles to it.
Are you now I'm going in the weeds. Are you into board games at all?
A little bit, not too much. I don't heavily play, but I do like board games with my friends. One of our favorites to play is like Settlers of Catan, like in the winter. I've played a few other board games in the past, especially when my brother's home. Like he's really gotten his boys in the game, so we really so we play those whenever he's home. So that's a lot of fun. So yeah,
I love Settlers of Catan. I'm pointed right over here because I got like a wooden collector's edition with all ceramic pieces and everything. Like, and I'm like, I'll play it. I never win because I never trade. But the reason why I brought up board games is there's a board game called Rum and Bones. It's a 2-player only game. And it's the premise is 2 pirate ships pull up to each other and they have like a fight. And it's just like you described. It's like cartoony, over the top superheroes. And like there's different. So you could be Vikings, you could be orcs, you could be the French, you could be the British, you could be like the undead. I got like 4 or 5 boxes of different factions that you can be.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But you just reminded me of it with like superhero pirates. So maybe I'll like this. Maybe I know I would. I just get too scared to get into anime because it's such a huge rabbit hole.
It is. But
I don't need another hobby. I
haven't even dug deep in the rabbit hole yet. But I've kind of like I'm getting like beneath the earth's crust of it. So yeah.
So I'm trying to think. You said like Freakazoid.
Freakazoid, Looney Tunes, especially Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. Obviously, characters like Mickey Mouse. A lot of cartoons I grew up with, for example, would be like Courage the Cowardly Dog, and then like Tough Puppy from Nickelodeon. And of course, like other cartoons, like necessarily a big one would be like Superman, like hero wise. Spider-Man is a big one. Let's see, trying to figure out. I'll get a lot of comparisons to Deadpool, which wasn't intentional, but I can see why people would think that. Toon Man would be actually kind of like more mellow version of Deadpool. So he's like he's kind of actually against like killing because he dealt with like the real world in a sense. But yeah, but he and Deadpool would like have a lot of fun together. And Freakazoid was another huge one. It's like and the mask.
The mask. Okay, yeah. Okay, I can see that. Somebody said, what about the Tick?
Tick would be a good influence too. It's like it doesn't get like that kind of humorous. Like it's still like a comic book in a sense that it's a superhero comic. So there's some realism to the stories. But yeah, Tick would be a good influence too because Toon Man has a wildly catchphrase like "You want tomfoolery? You got tomfoolery."
I like how you have those. I forget if it's Fleischer Studios or early Disney Studios where they have the little triangle slice in the eyes.
Oh yeah, like the little like rubber hose, like those like bandits. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about Toon Man. It's honestly like when people draw them, that's one of the hardest things they get. They think that it's mostly just irises that are white.
Yeah. I like the dot matrix in there, make it look on. So, are you going to be using any like open, what's the word, public domain comic characters like Steamboat Willie or anything like that?
No, actually, I'll be making. If anything, I'll be creating my own like cartoon characters. at one point, if NRG gets big enough, I would like to do like a 2-man like animated series where I am allowed to borrow cartoons from other animation studios, kind of like when Wreck-It Ralph borrowed like games from like Sega or PlayStation or GameCube. But honestly, until then, I gotta make my own. Which I'm more than happy to do because I
Yeah,
feel like there's a lot more creative freedom to that.
I was like curious, but I feel like everybody's borrowing Steamboat Willie, and I don't see the appeal of that. I'd rather play with my own toys than other people's used toys. And
I mean, I can understand the appeal of using Steamboat Willie, but I mean, if I can't use Mickey Mouse in general, I just have used one part of him. I don't really see the point.
What'd you say? Deadpool easily don't do that stuff anymore. Oh, I just got a message. I thought it was from you. I was like, what's going on? I don't know. Deadpool easily don't do that stuff anymore. He's back to the 90s. Or I don't follow Deadpool. I'm a big comic book guy, but Deadpool is just one character that just gets under my skin. I don't know. I just don't like him. I don't. Does tomfoolery? Does he break the fourth wall? Does he know?
He does. In fact, and actually, like you notice in the first few pages I said to you, he does that. He breaks the fourth wall, like when he like slams into the panel and like makes a comment about it. He makes a lot of fourth wall jokes. It's pretty funny.
I do appreciate, because like Bugs Bunny would turn and face the audience and be like, "This guy's a maroon," like that. That always got to me. I always appreciated that. But something about like superheroes and comic books break. The only one to me who was allowed to break was the Watcher. That was his whole shtick. Was he sees through all dimensions and everything.
Yeah. I kind of agree. Like Watcher is able to do that. I feel like he gets a pass because he's technically more of a narrator.
Right.
Like in the same way that like the Creep Show narrator was able to break the fourth wall, or the Bolt from the Crypts, or all those kind of like anthology horse.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking around because I was just reading Creepy and Eerie earlier today. I was gonna pull them up. Yeah, some characters like a horror host like Vampirella, and they talk directly to the reader. But it kind of, in a cartoon, like a full-on cartoon, it works. Like again, Bugs Bunny holds up the signs, the ding and the bat, and the screw and the ball, you know what I mean?
Like with Roadrunner, it's like, I just don't have the heart.
Yeah. And then like they run off the cliff, and then they look down, and then they look at you, and then they wait. Yeah. So I take it you grew up watching cartoons.
Hey, pretty much superheroes and cartoons. Those are my two things growing up. It's like there were both things I wanted to be in life. And eventually, when I realized I couldn't be one of those things, I thought, why don't I just combine them into my own superhero? And thus I made Toon Man,
Yeah. I don't know how many, like during the week, my mom said there were 7 of us. And during the week, I was the hardest kid to wake up. I am just naturally a late sleeper. As soon as I retire, I'm not getting out of bed till like 11 o'clock in the earliest. You know what I mean? But Saturday mornings, boom, I was up and out of bed and watching cartoons, and I had it was like a nap. And I went half hour to half hour. So this Channel 4, and back then, I don't know how old you are, if you're in the same era, but then it was before cable. So it was like Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 2, and I think that was it as far as cartoons. So I had, okay, over here was this, then I'd switch to this, and I navigated which was my favorite cartoons. I was like, oh no, I'm not watching Smurfs. No offense to you Smurf fans, but I wasn't watching Smurfs when Tarzan was on the other channel. Those early cartoons were so good. I love all that. I kind of miss that.
I do. I mean, I like that cartoons are more available nowadays to like a younger generation, so that anyone can watch theirs. But I do kind of miss mostly I miss being a kid and getting up on Saturdays and watching cartoons. There was something special about that when you're a kid.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was Saturdays. Well, for me anyway, it was run home because cartoons started at 3:00 after school. So you'd run home to catch I'd get out of school at like 2:30 or quarter to 3 or whatever, and you're literally running home to catch the cartoons, and that was till about 5, maybe 5:30. So that was the only window, but that was 5 days a week. And then Saturdays, like from 6:00 in the morning, but geez, even I couldn't wake up at 6 in the morning, and then to about noon. And then once noon came, you had like cowboy movies. If you lived in New York, where do you live?
I live in Des Moines, Iowa. It's in the
Okay, so
Midwest.
I don't know if it's different, but I lived in New York, and it was like at noon, the TV just switched and it became like sports if it was baseball season or football season, and then like cowboy shows. So that was like, okay, it's noon. That's when me and all my friends would start to go out on a Saturday. Like, I don't know, because cartoons weren't that 24/7. I remember, and then I became a teenager, and then I went to college, started working, whatever, and I didn't notice the change until I dated a woman who had a little girl. That cartoons were on all the time. I was like, oh, just cartoon. I'm like, what do you mean cartoons? It's like Sunday. Can you believe there was no cartoons on Sunday? For the longest time when I was a kid, Sunday was all preachers and whatever. And then one day, all of a sudden, there was cartoons on Sundays. I was like, this is breaking the rules. The only Sunday cartoon was Davy and Goliath, and it was like a religious show, But I'm babbling, so I take it your cartoon experience was a little different because you went like Sunday, there was no cartoons.
Well, no. I mean, like, I mean, like, my cartoon was like kind of like just the end of yours. There were like most of the cartoon. Like when I was a child kid, I would get up and I would watch cartoons. Mostly in the mornings, like before school, especially on Saturdays. But then like it kind of grew to a point where like there were cartoon channels for different cartoons, so I would be able to see them in the evenings, but only in certain periods, because then all the adult shows would come on. And then now it's like almost like every other hour or so I can get cartoons whenever I want.
Right now, there's Zach Taylor was saying cartoons relied on, well, the cartoons, like you would say Looney Tunes, me and you watched, like, geez, these cartoons started in the 40s, so we're talking 60, 80 years of Bugs Bunny and stuff. Betty Boop might even be longer. Popeye, I think, was in the 30s. But I don't know how many of you youngins forget that when my dad was a kid, and my dad's no longer with us, you would take your dime, you'd go to the movie theaters, and you'd spend all day in the movies. So you'd see an A-reel movie, as he called it, which was like, the movie, a B-reel, which was a cheap cowboy movie or a cheap sci-fi movie or something. And then you'd see the news and you'd see cartoons. So like you would go there at noon and you didn't come home until almost dinner time. So the cartoons had to appeal to everybody. So like Bugs Bunny, the adults were laughing, the kids were laughing, I still watch a Bugs Bunny and I'm like, I never got that as a kid.
I know there's something you don't miss in Looney Tunes until you see them as an adult, but still that's what's so great about them, because they're timeless even as you're a kid or as an adult. Even if you just notice some things you didn't notice before, it's like that's what's so great about Looney Tunes. It's like I kind of miss the old days of Looney Tunes before like they stopped making them in like the 70s, because like nowadays when they try to make a Looney Tunes show, they're making it too relevant. I mean, they have apps and like streaming. It's like basically they didn't have any of that back then, so they relied on the actual wits, like Zach Khan is saying. They relied on lit, and it's like they didn't actually. Nowadays, even the new ones, if they have the classic gags, now they're putting it in coffee shops and all that. It's like give it something where like give me just a Looney Tunes where like Elmer Fudd is trying to kill Bugs Bunny or Tasmanian Devil trying to eat Daffy Duck. That's basically what Looney Tunes were. They were either trying to kill or eat each other. They weren't friends necessarily.
No, I two things I want to say. First off, there was topical references like Humphrey Bogart jokes. When kid gets a Humphrey Bogart joke, you know what I mean? I remember Humphrey Bogart wants a ham sandwich or whatever.
Oh yes, yeah, like he wanted fried rabbit and
like to have a ham sandwich or something like that. But I got Humphrey Bogart because my dad, But if I have kids, well, my kids know who Humphrey Bogart is. But and I tell you, it's still the classical music. Every once in a while, I'll hear classical music. I'm like, oh, that's Blue Danube Waltz. That Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck were dancing to Blue Danube,
God.
Oh, here's a funny opera story. A coworker, her nephew is an opera singer. He sings in New York. Even if you told me his name, I wouldn't remember his name. I never met the guy.
I love opera. I got into opera because of the Looney Tunes.
Oh, there you go. So she's telling me, we're construction workers. So we got shovels. We're digging in the street. You know what I mean? Like we're filthy. And she's telling me about opera. to blow away the stereotype of a construction worker. So she said, "Oh yeah, my nephew's coming to town. I have a guest bedroom. I got to set it up, because he's all hoity-toity, and and we're laughing because we're covered in filth." And so as she's telling me, as soon as she says the word opera, what do I say? You got to know.
Looney Tunes.
No, I go Spirit Magic Helmet. So I start singing Spirit Magic Helmet. Oh, Broomhilda. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I said, you weren't going to talk about opera and you don't know what's opera, Doc. I said, it's the first cartoon to win what is it, a Grammy? Or I forget.
Like an Emmy or
maybe it's an Emmy. I think it's a first Emmy award winning cartoon. I said, Bugs Bunny. He's Broomhilda. Elmer Fudd's got the Spirit Magic. And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, all right. So, I was like, whatever. How it's funny. So then the way construction workers is the job ends, you go to this job, you go to that job. So I literally didn't see her in like a year and a half. So I'm in a supermarket and somebody's banging on the window. She had just paid for her groceries and didn't notice me. And now she's walking by the front and she's banging on the window and she's screaming, Spirit Magic Help! Like she mentioned it to her nephew, and the nephew's like, of course, that's how I got into opera. And she's like, what? So they watched it on YouTube together, and she's like, kill the rabbit. So I've seen her, that was like 10 years ago. I see her every once in a while at work, and it'll be like a, whatever, some sort of meeting or whatever, and she'll be like, kill the rabbit. And then my favorite line is oh, what have I done? I killed the rabbit. We don't even talk anymore. We just sing bad opera. But it's all comics. It's all cartoons. Yeah. No Spirit Magic. Talk about well, she's cultured now. She's cultured. But what I loved was her nephew, who is, and it's gonna drive me nuts that I can't think of his name. Who, he's in Broadway or wherever they sing operas. I don't even know because I'm not cultured. He's a guy that you would recognize, and he's like, yeah, because the Spirit Magic Helmet as a kid. So there you go.
The whole reason my generation is cultured is because of Looney Tunes.
Right. I took a classical history, a classical music class. When I was in high school, they had a couple of, like, I wasn't gonna take composition. I knew I wasn't gonna write music or play an instrument. So I took like a classical music appreciation class, and the teacher talked about, oh yeah, you'll recognize this one from Bugs Bunny, this episode, and he said, lifelong watching cartoons, and now he's not, well, he also writes classical music, and during summertime he tries to do like an orchestra, but he said it's all from cartoons. So I don't know, like if I watch I'm trying to think of, like, I watch the Venture Brothers is really the only cartoon I still follow. The music, they do like jazzy music, but I you don't hear that classical music anymore.
Yeah, you don't. But you think that would be a great way to get people back into Looney Tunes if they followed the same format where they did the show and then brought back like classic operas and musicals and maybe even some new ones. It's like this is what people are going to. The kids aren't going to know what it is, so they watch it. But then like years later, they're like watching Hamilton or Sweeney Todd. It's like, oh my god, that was on Looney Tunes. How did I not see that before?
The closest is I got a couple of friends that are like in their 30s. And they'll know like old country western songs from Fallout. Apparently, Fallout plays like retro music.
Yeah, I do recognize that. And it's like, funny enough, it's like every time I hear the song "Wanderer," I'm the type to die. Yeah, I think of Fallout too.
Yeah, the one that he trailers for sale or rent, rooms to let 15 cents. I'm a man of means by no. He's like, oh, Fallout. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I'll play like a Pandora at work, and I have a little Bluetooth speaker, and I'll just mix all of my stations. So it's really weird. Sometimes it'll be country, sometimes it'll be classic, sometimes it's punk rock and heavy metal, and then every once in a while you'll get like what he'll call Fallout music, which is like 50s music.
Well, I mean, how many people are going to like recognize like Hooked on a Feeling because of like Guardians of the Galaxy now?
Yeah. I remember when Reservoir Dogs came out. That soundtrack made a lot of like 70s, the sound of the 70s. That DJ who's Stephen Wright, that DJ, like that brought back like a little mini renaissance of 70s music. And now the Guardians of the Galaxy did the same thing, brought back like Come and Get Your Love. is
I'm
Guardians of the
asking
Galaxy.
for love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't. And the other one from Guardian Galaxy 2 now. That's gonna drive me nuts.
Well, there's a lot of the songs in that, so it's not going to narrow it down.
Yes. I thought that was brilliant. That was such a good hook with Guardians of the Galaxy to base it on such, hits that everybody knew. It doesn't matter the age, you knew those songs from supermarkets, from dentists, from your parents or whatever. That was brilliant.
It was.
But, so any new cartoons that would inspire your comic tune?
Let's see. A lot of the cartoon show that inspire me now is Steven Universe, the Harley Quinn TV series. That's a big one because, like, in a sense, like Two-Man is kind of like the anti-hero that Harley Quinn is now. A lot of the more modern DC like shows, like Young Justice and the original Teen Titans, not Teen Titans Go. That bullshit is like, no, that's not the series I grew up with.
Yeah,
and then, like series like Total Drama.
I turned on one of the Teen Titans and it was awful. So I don't know if it's Teen Titans, but everybody says one of them's really good, one of them's really bad. So go figure. I probably put on the awful one.
It's a more chibi version one. That's the more awful one.
I couldn't stand it. I don't like the animation in modern comics, cartoons that much. It seems like lazy and uninspired.
Well, honestly, like I kind of feel the same way about like some modern Disney movies that are like Pixar, like all 3D. I miss like the grandstand of like the 90s animated when it was all 2D, know? Because I feel like there's something more special that you can do like animated style wise with 2D versus 3D,
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the city for New York Comic Con. And where did we go? We went to some bar that was weird. It just shows you how long I go to Manhattan. But this bar, it was a bar with hard alcohol, bartenders, cocktail waiters, but it was all video game based. So like you could go to it shows you geeks got money now, nerds got money. So you could go to the bar, get your whatever, your whiskey sours, and then sit down and play a video game. And they had like comic book panels painted on the walls, but they had why can't I think of the name of the movie now? Akira, the Japanese anime, playing on a big, huge screen. And I don't drink, but I was just sitting on the couch with a couple of guys, and like they would buzz, but not drunk, and we would just like watch it. Like, dude, I was like, I probably haven't seen Akira since like the mid '90s, and we just were like jaw dropped watching the animation, just so good. Like so you could see a little bit of the datedness, but that made it like charming. It was so good, and of course, the scene that we sat down was at the end. Big when he's ripping his arm off, he's fighting this satellite area. We just sat and watched it. Like we were talking like crazy people. Then one by one, we were like, "This animation is you don't see this anymore. It's so good."
Well, it's like I feel like there's some good animation still left in the world, but like really, like a lot of it now just blends together because everyone's just trying to copy that same thing. It's like in the '90s, like every other animated show had their own like style to it. That's what made them stand out. It's like nowadays, I let the animation style that blended go because the storytelling is awesome.
Yeah, I everything looks like a. I don't know, this old man talking right here. Everything looks like a Family Guy and American Dad to me, like and Simpsons, like South Park had like a unique look because they were using cardboard cutouts and everything. So I give that a pass. But man, I really miss some quality hand drawn animation. Yeah,
I do too. Yes, I do too.
I like what Logic signed. Banned Looney Tunes is hysterical, only on YouTube now, but it's a snapshot to the 40s. Yes. I remember hearing rumors of like Bugs Bunnies and Daffy Ducks that were like, oh yeah, remember this episode? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of do remember this episode. And then I went into a VHS place that had like uncensored actual Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunnies and there were scenes that I haven't seen since I was a kid. And some of them I'm like, I understand why. I'm not going to get into particulars, but some of them are taken off of TV for a reason. And I can understand that, but they should never be memory hold because it is part of history.
It is.
Like, I assume you're a comic book guy too. I mean, you're making comics.
I do. These days, mostly when I'm collecting his like graphic novels or omnibuses, you know. But occasionally, like when I back a Kickstarter, I will get the single issues.
Yeah, I'm, you know, I got stacks and stacks of floppies right here, but you know, but what I was saying was like there was a couple of controversies, like they repackaged the Spirit and they were going to get digitally like remove Ebony. You know, Ebony's not the most flattering black character ever, if you know what I'm talking about. You know, he's got the big lips and everything, but I could see if you're doing that to make like a $6.99 mass market appeal comic, you don't really want to piss off the new people. But if you're making a $50 archive edition, you know, with the hardcover, and those people know what they're buying. So 6 or 1.5. So with the banned cartoons, I could see why certain scenes were removed. But I would like the option of being able to pick up uncensored cartoon versions, you know.
Well, there are some they're putting like collections back together again that have those original unedited cartoons.
Yes,
they make up for it by saying, you know, like by putting a warning that says the stuff you're going to see here is like from a different time period, but we can't censor it because it's like censoring history.
Right. You keep in mind this cartoon came out almost 100 years ago. Things were different.
Exactly. You know, it's like you can't erase this because it's part of history. You know, you're educating on it, but at the same time, you're getting the same enjoyment. You know, I mean, like maybe enjoyment's not the right word, but I'm just saying you have the right way of approaching it.
Alpha Red, how's your Kickstarter going, Alpha Red? If anybody is interested, look up on YouTube. You can see it. But there was a real popular cartoon series called Blackie the Black Sheep, who the only black sheep among a whole bunch of white sheep. You could see why that cartoon is no longer on TV anymore. But it's a product of its time. Like I remember like Little Rascals. I remember scenes from Little Rascals that when I rewatched the Little Rascals, they're cut out. Also, you know, when I watch Little Rascals, they cut into like 20-minute segments, and I think the original were like 40 minutes. A lot of it is just boring, dull, you know, just, you know, and then a few offensive things are cut out.
Yeah.
The Nakamura Teen Titans, is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the one that's kind of that has influences from like anime in it, you know.
Okay.
So it's a more traditional superhero show in a sense, you know. Like the one I feel is like awful is the one that's like completely really cartoonish and it's like just terrible writing. It's just like
that's Teen Titans Go, right? Is that one?
Yeah, Teen Titans Go. That's like the very chibi version, you know.
Yeah. Modern animation and comics went to his highly stylized art in the 90s. Not a fan. I really don't understand what like highly stylized is, because like wasn't Jack Kirby stylized? Like what is, you know what I mean? So I could see like I don't like that style, but I don't know. I like we were just talking. I love the old 2D, like and even 3D animation, like The Incredibles. I really liked. You know, that's high end. But Beauty and the Beast, or The Little Mermaid class, or my favorite. Why am I forgetting my favorite, which is Iron Giant?
Oh yes, I met the creator of Iron Giant at a Kansas City Comic-Con just earlier this year.
Oh, how was he? Brad Bird, right?
Yeah, he was awesome, you know. And I didn't ever realize he also did work for like X-Men Evolution, you know.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like the guy was just so approachable. He was awesome. We had like this 20-minute conversation about Iron Giant and like
you and him.
I was there.
Oh,
yeah, I was like,
cool.
a small booth, you know. I was there like promoting one of my comic books, and it was like we just had this conversation. It was just like he was an incredible person.
I get so nervous whenever somebody's like, "Oh yeah," you know, because I love Incredibles, and I love Iron Giants. That not even animated. They're just two of my favorite movies of all time. You know, they just came out. They meant a lot to me. So when you said you met Brad, I was like, I got a little nervous because I thought, yeah, he was a jerk and he stole my wallet and he punched my sister. You know what I mean? You always hear these horrible stories. So good for you that he was nice, man. You put me at ease.
yeah. So he's awesome. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's just very approachable. I mean, how do you expect from a guy who like made like a movie that was saying it's like everyone is the gun? You know, it's like it's not the wielding the gun. It's like it's wielding the gun. It's like you are who you choose to be. You know,
right?
How can someone who makes that message not be a nice person?
the line in Iron Giant when he goes Superman, and then that gets me emotional. And
Yeah, and honestly, what I love about the Iron Giants is all the Superman references.
yeah, he wanted to be Superman.
Yeah, it's like they compare him to Superman. He wanted to be Superman. It's like Superman's the archetypal superhero. I mean, he's difficult to write, but when you can write him, he's good.
There was one where Elmer is sleeping, so Bugs swallows an entire bottle of sleeping pills to join him. I remember that.
I remember that one. That's one where
I gotta say, the episodes, like there's Bugs Bunny cartoons, there's whatever Mickey Mouse cartoons, like the early Mickey Mouse cartoons were phenomenal. My favorite cartoons are still those Fleischer Supermans. Probably just like the animated series of Batman is the best, but those Fleischer Studios Supermans are my favorite Superman.
Yeah, like when he's punching like the laser, it's like
yeah,
and then he ties the laser into not like an actual cartoon character. What it's like, that's classic Superman.
And remember the Mighty Mouse when I'll never forget when Mighty Mouse is flying and the trail from his cape, he uses that to tie people up like it's a rope.
I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember Courageous Cat Minute Mouse?
I think I do. Yes.
Courageous Cat Minute Mouse. It was a goof on Batman and Robin, and he would pull out like guns. That's probably why it's not on TV. I didn't even think of it, but he always had a gun solution. So like a bad guy would come to, I need an anti-magnet gun, and he would fire it. I need an anti-rubber gun or whatever. And he always had, and the guns always looked like, Jupiter. They had like rings around them. They look like sci-fi guns.
Well, you remember Darkwing Duck? Did you ever see that series?
Darkwing Duck was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that grapple gun that also like fired a whole bunch of other things. It was like a spoof on Batman, but people loved him because it was kind of his own thing,
And Darkwing. Well, the thing about Darkwing Duck, it was very cleverly written. That whole Animaniacs, the Good Feathers. I used to watch that. That was funny. If you remember the Pigeon Mafia.
The Animaniacs, and those were another influence for Toon Man.
Yeah, good influence. Those were good comics. Again, just clever writing, guys. That's yeah. Elmer Fudd was originally a stellar. Yeah, Elmer Fudd I think was always white, but there was it's funny because they were equal opportunity offender back then. They had like a black character that was an Elmer Fudd type. There was an Indian character that was an Elmer Fudd type, and believe it or not, you really got to look. There was like a Jewish stereotype back then. Yeah. There's reasons why a lot of these aren't around anymore. But it's funny. You could have the dumb, dopey white guy. Nobody complains about that. Alpha Red ends tomorrow. Good job. Oh, here's the link. His comment. Torchbearer, my buddy Steve. Disney keeps monkey with their cartoons. They just recently turned a close draw. Yes, I was going to bring that up. That I talk like a mile a minute. I distract myself, but my wife upstairs, just as much as I have these board games and comics, she has stacks of DVDs. She likes to have hard copies of the movies that she likes. And every once in a while, it's easy if it's on streaming, you just hit the button rather than, and we're like, there's a scene missing. Well, that's changed. And I don't know. Did you see Lilo and Stitch?
Lilo and Stitch?
Yeah, the little girl hides in the oven.
I do, yeah. Well, actually, was it an oven or I thought it was a dryer?
Oh, yeah, she hides in the dryer. Yeah, she hides in the dryer. But now they just made it a table and she puts up a pizza box. You know what I mean? Because that's offensive or kids are going to crawl into,
The dryer wasn't even on, though.
I saw the Three Stooges hit each other with shovels my entire life.
I love the Three Stooges,
I didn't get to hit anybody with the shovel.
The Three Stooges movie that came out like in the early 2010s, they had like Moe like attack Curly with a chainsaw, and they got away with that.
Right. I still haven't poked anybody in the eyes yet, as much as I want to sometimes, especially when they're taking too long ordering coffee.
It's like sometimes I just want to go, "Hey Moe."
Oh yeah, the Cal Arts. I keep hearing that. That's like Cal Arts. What is that? A studio that makes all these new cartoons, or is that just the name of this? Everybody has like circular eyes. Everybody has like the same shaped mouth. It's I don't know. I mean, I'll get past it if the writing's good. Like I feel the same way with comics. I'll suffer through bad art if the writing is good. But
Oscar, yes, I fully agree on that. That was the best Avengers show, and I would give anything for them to bring that back.
You know what's funny? I was reading it, and it did register. Their portrayal of the Wasp in the Mighty Avengers is my favorite portrayal of the Wasp. The way she looked with that triangular hairstyle, she was flirty, but she was smart. they did such a great job. Like they took a little bit of liberties, but it made sense. It was so good.
It was just perfect. That was the coolest design. And my favorite thing was how they did Ant-Man, you know? Like you show this tragic, increasingly downfall of one of the most purest guys in the world. And just because not everyone shares the same morals as him, you know? I mean, he was basically on his way to becoming a supervillain if that show had continued, you know? It's like,
I gotta watch it
if you like, imagine what happens if you put Joker in the Avengers and like he sees Hank Pym as like Harvey Dent was in the Dark Knight movie, you know? He's like, he's just going to give him that push over the edge that's going to make like Hank Pym like go. I wanted to see that, you know, but I never got an opportunity because they canceled it. The best Avenger show ever.
It really was. I agree with that. Oscar and I are collaborating on a comic. You know, Oscar's comic book instincts are 100%. He's got the best takes on Earth. But yeah, I agree with you that Earth's Mightiest Heroes. If anybody hasn't seen it, now I got to go rewatch it again because I saw it when it came out, but I missed a lot when it came out. So I got to go back and watch it in order. Everybody's agreed Iron Giant is classic. Highly stylized means the bodies are exaggerated, jagged lines, unrealistic limbs, face. Okay, thank you. All right. I just thought it meant like a style, but like, all right. Yeah, all for Bruce Timm and Paul. I think we all could agree with that, you know. The episode where Daffy tops, but I was gonna bring this up. This is my favorite gag in all of cartoons. So it's I think it's from the 60s. Chuck Jones, Bugs Bunny. You know, it's Bugs and Daffy are doing like a vaudeville show and they're dancing.
Yes, I remember.
And everybody's clapping for Bugs, but and Daffy's just getting pissed that he's getting upstaged. So so he's just like, all right, whatever Daffy does, Bugs comes out and does it better, you know. And then the audience. So he comes up dressed like Satan. He's got this hokey devil costume with the horns on, and he's got TNT, and he's got gasoline, and he's like, okay, let's top this. And he just starts chugging the dynamite. He's chugging the gunpowder. He's drinking gasoline, and he holds the match, and he just says, girls, you better hold on to your boyfriends. And boom. And I just love the pettiness of that. Like, I am going to kill myself on stage rather than let you get more applause than me. That is the
and then even Bugs admits like, hey, Daffy, that was great. They want more. He's like, yeah, but there's only one problem. I can only do it once.
I love that gag. That is the best gag. Elmer Fudd was originally black. I always thought that was a different character, and I don't even want to tell you the name of that episode. I'll get myself in trouble. Courageous Cat Minute Mouse with Bob. Really? I didn't know that. Greatest special effects, sound effects. Whenever they would jump, they would go ka-doink, ka-doink, ka-doink. And then they had like a penguin type character called the Frog. And he's like, yeah, I'm the Frog, see? And he talked like Jimmy Cagney. Just such a good cartoon. Great opening music. Oh, best opening music to a cartoon. What is your favorite?
Best opening music to a cartoon? Let's see. If we're talking theme, so I'm gonna say that my favorite was opening theme. You know, I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say that it was the Superman the Animated Series theme, just because like it was just perfect for Superman. It was upbeat. Okay. It was more like da 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 da.
That was a good one. Yeah, I like the Batman animated series. It was very mood, but yeah, I got to go with Underdog. The Underdog song is the
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Ooh, it's so good, so good.
Yeah. I mean, like, I miss the old days when like animation actually had opening themes. You know, they don't have the money of that. You know, even the Harley Quinn show just has like a quick title sequence, and then like they're gone. You know,
it's funny because are you a fan of the Venture Brothers?
I have watched them. Yeah, I haven't gotten deep into them, but I do love them. I love how like they're a parody of like the Johnny Quest series, and they're like parodying all these like pop culture, like sci-fi and magic and superheroes.
There's like the first season of Stranger Things. Oh my God, I was like, I'm like they're stealing from my life because I think the Duffler brothers who made Stranger, I think we're the same age. So I was the same age as Will and all those kids, you know, back in like 83. I'm like, this is my life. Dungeons, Dragons. Like, I remember there's one scene they go downstairs and one of the kids is sitting on the floor with the backwards chair and he's using that as a desk to do. I'm like, that's exactly, these guys were there, and then they bicycles, you'd ride to your friend's house, you just leave the bicycles on the front lawn. So that, and the Venture Brothers, I think I can't remember the guy's name, but I think the two guys at Crete, I think they were the same age. So it's like Johnny Quest references Hanna-Barbera, and they even reference like music and like they're all into Iggy Pop and David Bowie references. I'm like, so I joke like the Venture Brothers. Why can't I think of his name? Doc something.
Doc Venture.
No, the actual creator. He goes by the name like Doc Black or something like that. And I can't remember the two, but they must be like, yeah, what's your target audience? Oh, this guy who does these YouTube things in New York, his name is John. He's the target audience. Yeah, because it, like, I'll be laughing at stuff, and my wife's like, I don't get it, because she's 3 years younger than me. That's how specific some of it. So I wonder how it lasted as long as it did. But I just love that. I don't know why. Yeah, the writing is so good. So, but the animation to me is a little half-assed, but I'll forgive it because the writing is so good. Making Hank Payne into Beggar is one of Marvel's worst movies. Yeah.
I'm not talking about like the wife beating aspect of it. I meant just like turning him from like a hero who wants to do good to like a full villain because he's lost it. In the same sense that like, how like the Dark Knight turned Harvey Dent's process into a villain.
Yeah. The design with it, Thomas Perkins, great character design. Oh, okay. Oscar, even because Oscar worked in animation for a while too. Wish DC didn't have the problems with Captain Carrot. Yeah, Captain Carrot.
Yes, I've always said that. I've always wanted them to do more with Captain Carrot. I love that series. It's Looney Tunes meets superheroes. God, it's perfect.
Yeah, geez, yeah, that's right up your alley, huh? That is.
It is.
That is a series. When it comes to comic books, with the exception of Mad Magazine, I'm not really. I Grew the Wanderer, the two exceptions. Most comic books aren't that funny. They're just like, instead of the Torch, it's the Scorch. Instead of the Hulk, it's the Bulk. It's just parrot. But Captain Carrot was funny because like it was situational. Like it was like a Looney Tunes in a comic. I thought they did a really good job. I got to finish reading the series. I'm halfway done.
Yeah, it was so good because it was his own thing. It wasn't trying to emulate DC or Marvel like with parody covers like Spider-Ham or Hulk Money. It was actually its own thing, like a superhero universe set in a world of cartoon animals.
Right. It made sense to, Spider-Ham. I don't know. I never really got into that, but I did.
Yeah, and like some of the names of the characters, like Captain Carrot, Rubber Duck, Pig Iron, Ali Kadabra, Yankee Poodle. I mean, puns galore, but it was like it made sense because that's what their powers were. It was brilliant.
I remember we as kids, me and my friends, we didn't even know Captain Carrot at the time, but we made superhero anthropomorphic animals. The bad guy was Mr. Chicken. And he threw hand grenades. It was just stupid little kid humor. Yeah, the Butthole Surfers. Yeah, there's a Saturday morning cartoon CDs. It's one of my CDs that mysteriously disappeared when I had a bunch of roommates, and it was just alternative bands like Reverend Horton Heat, the Butthole Surfers. The Butthole Surfers do the Underdog theme song. It's really the best opening to Space Ghost. I think that's the one that Reverend Horton Heat does.
Are we talking the original Space Ghost? Or are we talking Coast to Coast?
The original Space Ghost had an interesting opening, and the Johnny Quest had this great jazz. Oh, and the Venture Brothers, the first season has a great jazz opening that's like 3 or 4 minutes long, and then by the third season they just do the credits, and you barely. I don't know why shows do that. Like I generally love like Cowboy Bebop. As little as I know about anime,
Cowboy Bebop had the best opening.
Right? Wouldn't you be upset if the third season didn't have that?
I was upset like when they were then the total drama season cut the title sequence in half. I'm lucky that Loud House has an opening sequence now. It's like now they just like it's like a quick 5 seconds and then they get right in the store, which I get they want to do storytelling, but that was always part of the appeal of the animation. People loved the animated themes to them.
Yeah. Even when you watch like old Star Trek, William Shatner, William Nimoy, Spock had a riff like if Spock was confused, but we used to call it the Spock riff. And it was like a bass, and he would like look at everybody. Yeah, Captain Kirk had the like you knew Kirk was hitting on somebody when you had this this music, and then of course everybody knows the classic Amok Time fight music. Da 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 da. It's so bizarre, that music. Like I legit will listen to that. I'm like, how did this person come up with this music? Like, just shows you I'm not a composer. Alex Toth cartoons. Yep. Birdman was great. Herculoids, but Space Ghost to Spider-Man. Oh, the Spider-Man opening was great. Spider-Man. They were.
Yeah, I wish they would bring that like theme back for like a movie or something, or like a new TV show. Like give us that theme, because that is Spider-Man's theme, you know?
The Venture Brothers American adult animated comic series created by Jackson Public and Doc Hammer. I knew it was Doc something. Thank you.
That's what it was. Doc Hammer.
Yeah. Hey, Pops, how you doing?
Hey, Pops.
Nat Rat, a parody of Frank Miller's Dark Knight is great parody. I never read that one.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, I never read that one. I avoided funny comics for the most part. I will say Mike Barron has a funny comic called Florida Man. That's actually funny.
I've heard of Florida Man. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, how many times you turn on the news, Florida Man, smuggles 18 pounds of gold dust in his butt or something like that. So he just made a comic book of all these crazy stories from the news, and it's situational. It's not just comic book, pun humor or whatever. Yeah, Oscar's gonna go nuts because he's always pushing Captain Carrot. Wereman was a great Captain Carrot. Yeah, Wereman, an animal that turns into a human. I like where they expanded the Captain Carrot roster with Little Cheese and then introduced the JLA. Yeah, Little Cheese. Wasn't he like the Captain Marvel ripoff, like Shazam?
No, Little Cheese was like supposed to be like the Atom. So it was like a mouse that could change shape and size.
Okay.
So I think it was meant to be like a joke on the big cheese, you know?
Right. Yeah, Little Cheese. Okay. I forgot the jazz opening from the Fantastic Four cartoon. I forgot about that too. That was a good one.
I also love the jazz theme from The Incredibles.
Yeah. The Incredibles is great. I love that. The Iron Man. Do you remember I think it was Iron Man 3, Tony Stark walks into a room and there's an orchestra playing, and they're playing the theme to the 60s Iron Man cartoon.
Actually, my favorite Iron Man series theme was from the second season of the 90s series, like, I am Iron Man. I am Iron Man.
Oh, geez, I didn't realize it was 8:30. I gotta stop because we started late. So is there me babbling for 40 minutes? Is there anything that you didn't get a chance to talk about? Because I won't shut up.
I will say this, that NRG Comics has Two-Man the Animated Ace crowdfunding a Kickstarter for 2 more weeks. We're already funded, but we don't want you to miss your chance to get this one-of-a-kind series. That will be the first of many more to come. Seriously, I have no end for Toon-Man in sight. It's going to be a long, ongoing series, hopefully one day to reach the same length as Spawn or Savage Dragon, or even one of the greats. We got a lot of good prizes going on, and we're currently working on new series for NRG Comics, Slamazon, Bloody Mary, American Queen, and we're all going to be introducing all these characters through Toon Man. So if you back this comic, there's a chance you'll get to see more superheroes from us who get their own series.
I just want to point out, it's only $10. That's a pretty, as far as crowdfunded comics, $10 is very reasonable. My comic is $10. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, well, it's like close to over 30 pages, so you get more for that.
That was just my next question. How many pages?
Like 32 pages.
Yeah. So there you go. I like the concept. Again, I could talk cartoons all day long.
Yeah. If you love classic cartoons and you love action superheroes like Superman or Spider-Man, you'll love Toon Man because you get the best of both worlds.
There you go. That sounds fun. And you're the writer?
I'm the writer and the creator and a little bit of a character designer. Yep.
There you go. Good luck, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to get going. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you guys. I might later play a board game live on the channel.
See if you can find that cartoon one and send me it. Send me it.
Which cartoon?
The one from the 80s you were talking about? The board game based on like classic cartoons.
The role playing game called Toon. Yeah. I'm gonna look that up right now. Well, I'm gonna go eat dinner first, and then I'm gonna look that up. Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, I'll private message you if I find it. Hell, I might even make a video about it and just buy it. All right, bye. That was a lot of fun.
It was. Thank you for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,